What's up, guys? Welcome to the Huddle, where we discuss maintaining forward progress in your flooring career. I'm Paul Stuart, and joining with me today is Jose, and Jose's with Preferred Flooring in Michigan. We appreciate everybody joining us, and just a quick housekeeping, a couple things. If you got any questions, click the Q&A button and chat your questions, and we'll address those as we go. So today's episode 4, and we're going to be discussing understanding your value and how to increase your prices. Jose, welcome. How's it been going, brother?
Hey, another week in the life of Jose. So it's been going pretty good. Busy right now. You know, everybody's a little bit behind. Of course, is the whole shipping issues are putting everyone in a bad spot, and then lack of trained help is also putting everyone in a bad spot. But we're pushing through, man.
Well, discussing that, I mean, one of the things, when you're trying to increase prices or, I think the first step is understanding your value and having the confidence to increase your prices. Well, where does confidence come from? It comes from training, and it comes from certifications, and it comes from experience, right?
100%.
I mean, airline pilots, the more time they spend in a simulator, the better they perform as a pilot. So their training makes them better and more confident pilots.
Right. It's a repetition.
That's right. So training and certifications, I've heard a lot of guys say, well, I don't make any more money because of that. Well, if you'll consider the amount of confidence that it breeds because you are properly trained, and you add that with some experience, and now you have a good recipe for confidence where you have the ability to, ask for more and negotiate. I took down wrote down a few points here that, negotiating your prices, whether you're within Go Carerra or not, in the Go Carerra network or you're not. The key here is that you have the confidence. So what are you bringing to the table that other installers are not, right? That's where that confidence would come from. So what's your take on some of those things?
Well, the take is that, regardless of if you're going to get certifications or not, if you are well-versed in a specific material for the install, you get better, right? Your systems, your operations, you get more efficient, faster. You have the tendency to not accidentally skip steps or intentionally skip steps because you know the outcome. So it leads to a more successful install. Everything is very systematic in what we do. And the more you do it, the more repetition you get, the more efficient, which means the more valuable you are, not to only the client and either the flooring house or your own company, but to yourself. What you're doing is you're putting yourself in a position to be aware of the material limitations, expectations, and also give time back to both the client, to yourself. Something that used to take 5 days takes 4 days now. Now, you can charge the same amount, but you're done a day early.
You should charge the same amount. In fact, it's more valuable to most companies if you're able to do the same amount of flooring in a shorter period of time than somebody else. Now, I know there's been times where I've had clients say, and I'm sure you have too, where it's like, well, it only took you 5 hours to do this. We expected it to take 2 days. Can I get a discount? My exact answer is no. You're not paying me for. And this may sound cliche, but this is the truth. You're not paying me just to do the job. You're paying me for the 25 years of experience to get this job done in 5 hours and not 2 days. Yeah. And I've been able to, because of that, I'm able to turn over your project quicker with higher quality and better guarantees. So, those are ways, if you can lower your time frame and increase your prices, that's compounding. That's like compounding interest. So now you spent 5 hours instead of 14. You got paid $5 a foot instead of 4, and you've compounded your pay, your total. I guess you'd call it like your hourly rate if you wanted to break it down
100%.
into an hourly rate. You're increasing that. So,
And
you
that's
mentioned,
scenario. I'm sorry, go ahead.
You mentioned, knowing the product and whether you're trained or certified, but that knowing the product and having experience as being a key piece.
Yeah.
Would you say that training and certifications, though, are a shortcut to that?
You know what? Nothing is more of a shortcut than actually getting your hands dirty, right? Like diving in and getting elbow deep. However, certifications and additional training can only speed up the process. What it does is it brings to light certain scenarios that you might not have known about, or if, say, you've been working with a material for 5 years, 6 years, and then all of a sudden you decide to go take a certification class, you might have an aha moment. And it's not you will have an aha moment. There are going to be about a dozen projects in your head that pop in, and you say, if I would have known that prior to this day right here, I could have avoided these issues. I could have saved this much time. I would have had that in my toolbox. That mental toolbox is very important when it comes to creating an efficient systems of installation, whether it's yourself or with a crew. It's super important to have that.
Yeah. Well, what I found in my experience is those aha moments, like you said, always happen. We've sent guys to certifications that have been doing it for 15, 20 years, and they're like, I didn't think I was going to learn anything. I was checking a box, and I learned a ton. I learned 2 or 3, things that equal a ton, meaning there are very important pieces that they learned in that training or that certification that can save them ample time and effort and make them more money. So, you never know what nugget you're going to pick up that could save you, a lot of time, a lot of effort, get better quality, all with moving for the effort. Everybody in flooring would like to make more money. So at the end of the day, if that's like one of the goals is how do we get paid our value's worth, then how do we get there? And in my experience, having the training, the certification mixed with the experience that's like the secret recipe. Now, I know that, there's a lot of guys that have a lot of experience, but they just don't know what they don't know when they argue that they don't need a training. So anyway, I've beat that up enough. I just believe in being trained per industry standards, not to mention if something goes wrong and you have a failure and it's not and we'll get into this in another episode, but working with, inspectors and such.
Oh yeah.
I'll tell you what, being certified and trained certainly helps you if you get into one of those scenarios, and you will get into one of those scenarios.
100%.
Do you understand acclimation and why? Do you understand proper adhesive trials and flashing times and all that and why? Do you understand thermoplastic materials and LVTs and dimensional stability and all of that stuff? That's the kind of thing you learn in trainings that you don't learn. You might learn how to lay something out and put things together to where when it's done, it looks good. But what are we talking about? We're talking about giving a product that's going to last a consumer. And in our case, it's commercial. In your case, commercial end user, for the length of time that they expect, which is 10 to 15 years.
Right.
Not when you walk away, it looked good. So a lot of these things that I just spoke of are the things you learn in the certifications and trainings that you just will not learn from your uncle. You may learn the proper technique on how to trowel, how to square up lines, how to lay out. Those things you might learn, but you probably will not learn how the product's manufactured, what makes one LVT, just to pick on LVT, because there's 1,000 of them now.
Yeah.
But what makes one LVT better than another? What is it? They look the same.
Or
They have the same
adhesive
install
too,
instructions. Why does one give you a different performance than the other? And the key is understanding those things. So I'll give you a quick example. We had a claim on about 700 foot of LVT, and it was blamed on improper adhesive transfer, right? Well, the transfer was well documented in many pictures, and so we were able to deal with that. But because of Lou, who produces the commercial floor report, one of the things that came out was, look, LVT ought to lay there by itself with no adhesive, without gapping or curling. It should be dimensionally stable. You learn those kinds of things through these reports, and as well, you learn those if you go and get certified in different flooring products. So that's my take on having the confidence to go and ask or negotiate your pricing. Yeah. Another thing is believing that, and I wrote this down, is believing enough to be clear on the front side that, look, I'm probably not the cheapest person. So if you're coming to me to be the cheapest installer, I'm probably not your guy. And being okay losing some of that type of work. I know you guys have taken that tact before. We take that tact.
Yep, we sure have. I just did minutes before we got on the phone. It's what you have to do, and it's a confidence thing too, right? When you know what you bring to the table, it's kind of hard to try to match what everyone else is doing, right? It's different. The value that you see yourself is always going to be different from what everyone else sees, no matter what. But if you can back it up and you have a track record of backing it up, then why not exercise that muscle? Why not implement a program like that? Because it's for you.
Well, it's your job. It's your job to then convey that information and convey why you're worth more. So I had written down, marketing to these efforts. Look, you're paying me, just like I said earlier, you're paying me for 25 years of experience and training. You're not paying me for the 5 hours of doing your job. Like you are, but really what you're purchasing is all this experience, training, and certifications that our installers, or back in the day, I was certified, that's what you're purchasing. So I feel like there's been a big uptick in that. I know that, as you know, I created Go Carerra back in 2018. And one of the things we're working on right now is working with architects to set minimum hammer ratings. Well, for those of you who don't know, a hammer rating is a skill score you get that's simply a mix between your years of experience, your certifications, and your trainings. And when you got each one of those, there's a complicated algorithm that makes or creates the hammer rating based on those things. But here's my point. Architects want some way to understand that the installer is minimally viable to do their job. And so we're helping with that. Well, where does all that drive from? That drives from your certification, trainings, and education and your experience, but it also derives from your ability to market to those things. So when somebody says that, look, you're too high, say, I understand, not as many people, and I've used this before. I get it. Look, the other company or other people, they don't value the proper training the way that Stuart and Associates does. So, proceed at your own risk. I appreciate the opportunity, and we'll catch you on the next one maybe. But just as a note, we're very rarely going to be the cheapest person in the room. Now, sometimes we are because of purchasing power, but outside that, like I really want to be hired because our systems and our quality is higher than other people.
Right.
That's
You
why I
want
want
people to see
people
the
to hire me.
value. You want them to see the overall value. You know, the upfront cost. It's hard to market yourself when a lot of people nowadays are looking at the upfront cost, and it's not just nowadays. It's been for forever. And if you can market yourself with confidence and have them see the value that you offer, that is not in the numbers up front, that is in the long-term value. A lot of people actually don't even think twice about that. That's not even really an issue.
Well, that's an interesting point. And the reason I say that is you installed back when VCT was probably king of the vinyl world as well, right? Like, I mean, I've installed myself hundreds of thousands of feet of VCT. VCT is the most affordable product up front.
Oh yeah.
What the LVT industry and the low maintenance flooring industry, sheet vinyls and such have been able to do is life cycle cost. So the life cycle cost of keeping a VCT looking good through waxing, stripping and waxing every year, that kind of thing. And the fact that there's so much filler in VCT that it shrinks and doesn't look great. They have been able to sell on life cycle cost. Why can't an installer do the same thing? Like, you know, if we could come up with a metric of life cycle costs for a certified installer versus non-certified, or, you know, highly trained installer versus a non-highly trained, like how quickly do products fail, or how long do your products last? I mean, I've never done a study like that, but it'd be interesting. I guarantee,
that would be super
almost
sweet.
guarantee you that the highly trained person's life cycle cost is lower. You're not replacing that floor because it looks like crap in 2 years or 3 years. And we've done that. We've went in and replaced floors behind people just a couple of years old. That's supposed to be a 15-year floor, but it wasn't installed properly. Bonding issues, wasn't rolled, things like this that caused the product to fail. And the other company or the other installer, you know, nowhere to be found. And that leads me to my third point. Stay around. Don't change your phone number.
Yeah.
Market to yourself, to your phone number, to your brand. If it's Jose Flooring and not Preferred Flooring, you're an installer and it's Jose Gonzalez Professional Floor Installations. That's awesome. But market the way you can. The only way you market to something is if something's consistent. So keep yourself consistent with the naming, consistent with your phone. Don't change your phone number every 6 weeks. Keep your phone number the same. Be consistent and reliable. And that goes a long way with, you know, being able to raise your prices as well.
Right. And then, you know, I like to add to that too is hold yourself accountable, right? If you are, you know, everybody has a learning curve, right? Everybody goes through that phase where they're still learning about a product. They're really interested. They are putting in the time and the effort, and things go wrong. Hold yourself accountable to that. Learn from that. It's only a failure if you don't learn. You know, hopefully it's something small. Hopefully you're not, your first time getting your feet wet with a product, you're not jumping into a 25,000 square foot you know, LVT job and you know nothing about it, because all you've done is, you know, commercial LVT, all you've done is stretch carpet your whole life. But learn from it. Take the information that you gather, little bits and pieces, and use it. If something goes wrong, go tear it apart. While you're removing it and replacing it, yeah, it sucks to have to bite the bullet
but figuring out why. Right.
Yeah, but you're reverse engineering it. You're trying to find out why, and what it does is it sparks your interest, right? If you're like me, you want to know, you want to learn, so you start reading, you start doing more on the back end when it should have been on the front end. But then it's those aha moments, you know, and you did it for yourself, and most of the time, the replacement of it is you'll gain that back, either from the client. Giving you future work, or from the store giving you future work, because you just owned it, right? Hey, you know what? I did mess that up. I'm sorry. We'll make it right. Let's do what we can to make it right. If it costs you a couple of bucks, it does. In the past, we've had stores give me the product that they pay for the product. I provide the labor, and I was learning and, or something else went wrong. And it's okay. It's okay to not be perfect because you're going to learn. But those are the stores that trust me a lot now because I was very honest and said, you know what? Yep. Whether it was my fault or not, when they first came up to me and said it, I would just say, I am so sorry. Let's go check it out and see what we can do to fix it. That's it. I didn't blame anybody else.
Yeah, be there for your client, be in there in their hard times. When their floors fail, I mean, they need you, right? 100%. They don't know what to do. They need you. So don't run, don't get too defensive over the deal. Yeah, I agree with you. Kind of have that learner kind of mentality. Let's see what happened, investigate, and then defend yourself if you're in the right. And if you're not, fess up and fix it and learn.
Yeah. And just so everybody knows, man, science doesn't lie. So they will call somebody and they will take a very neutral approach and use science to figure out what happened.
Yeah. And by all means, use don't be scared. And we'll get into this in another podcast. I don't want to get off into it, but don't be scared to hire your own inspector. In fact, I think every installer ought to go through an inspection course. I think that we're going to start pushing that at Go Carerra. We're going to try to get every installer to go through an inspection course and learn what they're learning so that you know what to do in the cases that you're having to deal with one. So my final point, and you probably have some too, but expand, as far as being paid more and making yourself more value is expand your offering. If you're a carpet guy, learn sheet vinyl, or if you're a tile guy, learn large panel, gauge porcelain panels. There's a lot of good training out there. You can reach out to Go Carerra support at Go Carerra and ask where to go and get a certain training. We're in the middle of developing that full feature where you'll be able to, at a click of a button right out of the app, go to local trainings in your area. But I would say expanding your offering will go a long way, and doing it in the flooring products that are not so typical. We all love big LVT jobs or big carpet tile jobs, but I'll tell you what, some of the guys who make the best money are the guys who really dug down into pattern goods, woven wools and sisals and seagrass, and really went and got all those certifications and trainings to be able to do the theaters and the casinos and the different really high-end hospitality work. In sheet vinyl, it's one of the highest demand products with healthcare, and probably has the biggest demand from a need standpoint, but the lowest in supply from installers. Like high quality flash cove sheet vinyl guys are hard to come by.
It's very intimidating.
Yeah,
it's just very intimidating. That's all it is.
Well, you mess up a piece of VCT, you're messing up a 9x36 or 6x36, whatever its size is. You mess up a piece of $200 a yard woven wool carpet, you could destroy a whole drop. So I understand, but that's also because of that risk is why you're paid a little bit more, or a lot of bit more in many cases. So I would say expand your offering. It'll help you stay busy, utilizing those hours that you have. Maybe you don't have, maybe you are a sheet vinyl expert. Learn some tile or learn some carpet, anything. You can fill your schedule up, thus utilizing your workable time, and fill in work. One of the benefits of maps in Go Carerra is if a job cancels on you or something, get on maps and hunt, baby. Get on there and hunt around for work in your area or other areas. Maybe you can find a job a couple hours away to fill your schedule. But the key here is maximize your time and and you get there by expanding your offering, maximize your experience through trainings. I mean, you can't buy more years of experience, but what you can do is you can kind of shortcut it with training and certification. So
Yeah.
we're big on that. I believe in the CFIs and the manufacturers, the NTCA. Manufacturers put on a lot of their own trainings like Nora, Protectol, Forbo. These companies, they have high quality trainings. CFI has good trainings. They're expanding their offerings. The NTCA and the NTCA University, even online, you can learn some tricks. But there's hands-on at CTI, which is CTEF to be CTI certified. I mean, there's multiple training entities out there. So
there's a lot.
Getting trained and then getting on Go Carerra to get your trainings aggregated so you get a good hammer rating and then get awarded work based on your hammer rating. We've proven one thing in 3 years we've been in business, and really, just a couple of years with the new version is higher hammer rating and higher kudos equals higher pay. It's been proven. We have millions of dollars that have been paid out through the app to date. And with that comes data, and that data shows that if you're higher trained, you're getting paid better on that in the Go Carerra network for sure. And I believe that if you market yourself, even if you're not on the Go Carerra network, and that's fine, but if you're not, you got to market yourself. That's what Go Carerra does, is market that your hammer rating for you to the flooring contractors that have subscribed to our platform. So if you're outside Go Carerra, you still need to learn how to market like these preferred flooring. Daniel and Jose have done a wonderful job marketing themselves. You have to do that if you're going to be outside Go Carerra. And if you can get both, like Daniel and Jose, I think the future is very, very bright for you. But what's some other keys to increasing your pay? We got about 5 minutes or so here left. So
gotcha. I think we touched base on some of that last week with as far as the image and all that. You want to increase your pay, you have to do what you can to attract the right demographic. If was it dress for the part you want?
Yeah.
Right. So you gotta kind of do that, and that's not saying anything bad about what you're wearing. I'm just using that very loosely as just a term. That's one
dress for success. I mean, it doesn't mean you wear a suit to go install floors. But I did see. Sorry to interrupt you, but
no, go ahead.
Gentleman at the NTCA showed a picture one time of old installers back in like the 30s or 40s, and they wore like suspenders and a dress, kind of a dressier shirt and a tie, and they tucked it into their shirt. I mean, they were revered on job sites. It's funny when you talk to some people, that's how we want to be treated when we get onto job sites. The only way we can do it is band together, have a, like you just said, image,
right? And skill set. So consistency, you're not going to hit the top of a pay chart in a year or 2 years of experience. If you stay in the industry long enough, you're going to create a following, so to speak. Once you create a following, and instead of 5 companies or 5 people knowing who you are, 5 contractors, now you have 20, and then on top of 20, then you have 30. The more people that know you and what you're capable of doing, the more people that want you to come and do their work. And when they want you to come and do their work, you have a little bit of a negotiating power there, right? Because it's like you can kind of pick and choose. Am I going left or am I going right today? Or for this month?
You get to pick the most profitable project.
100%.
Like if you have to choose, at least you can pick the most profitable one from the best of your ability.
And most profitable isn't always the largest project. It isn't always the biggest one. The most profitable one is the one where you can maximize your time and effort. And when I say time and effort, it's maximize your time on site, how much time are you getting back with your family or free time as well? What is that worth to you? You know, value comes in all shapes and forms. And I think that that's one to consider as well, depending on if you're an individual installer versus a company versus someone who's trying to get to a specific milestone with employees or whatnot. Like, know which one you're after and which one you want to go for, so that way you understand what direction you should be concentrated on going.
Yeah. Well, we'll get into more like planning your business and doing some of that stuff. But certainly the things that are easy enough to do, that are in your power to do, is get trained. You are in control of what you put on in the mornings and what you buy to wear. And, once you're trained, you can utilize a lot of tactics to increase your pay. Be courageous in negotiating your amounts with your stores, and they may or may not be able to do it. We all work on budgets. I own a flooring company, and it's not always that I can, afford to pay out a negotiated amount. However,
Right.
if not, and I can't work with that guy immediately, sometimes it puts a little kick in the rear for our estimators or our project managers to kind of look at the numbers and see if we can squeeze a little bit more on the next bid to be able to afford to pay some more. So I want to work with the flooring industry overall, but the installers of the installation community in general, from a store standpoint, from a flooring contractor, a full-fledged or full service flooring provider. How do we do this together, guys? And, I created Go Carerra to help the installers band together in one spot, tout their trainings and their certifications and get hammer rated and move that into more money. I'm open ears. When you guys have questions, please participate, ask questions. Daniel's wasn't able to join us today, but he's usually on, and one of us can at least take a stab at your question and hopefully get you some answers, help you be more successful in your flooring career. So that's our goal. That's our goal with the Huddle. Forward progress, man, like moving your career forward. And that's my goal with Go Carerra. That's my goal with my flooring company, is just how do we maintain a long-term high quality career? Well, to me, what's good for the installer is good for the industry, and we got to figure that piece out. And you still got to win bids, and you still got to beat other flooring companies that don't care about this stuff. And it's something that I know Preferred beats their head up against the wall doing, and sometimes we do too. We do it a lot, is fighting companies that don't value the installation community as we do. And so we do our very best, and we're open for suggestions, and we're definitely open for any questions if we can help. So Jose, again, thanks for joining me today, dude. Thanks for your input.
Yeah.
Any closing thoughts?
Thanks for having us. Couple closing things, actually. I just want to kind of piggyback off of what you said, and you had mentioned get trained. So thinking outside the box, maybe it's more get educated, right? Just educate yourself. You don't have to get trained. I mean, that kind of puts like a label over you, but for the guys that don't like to be told what to do, because I'll admit that I was one of them a very long time ago, very stubborn, but I didn't necessarily want to get trained on anything. But if somebody would have came to me 18 years ago and said get educated, that probably would have changed my mindset a little bit. And just get educated, man. Educate yourself. Try to hold presence, right? Whether it's with your appearance, how you articulate yourself, hold that presence, and then confidence will fall into place. Once the confidence falls into place, everything else will just start making a lot more sense.
Yeah. I must say that when you if you look back on your career though, when you started to embrace trainings and certifications, it appears to me from our previous conversations that that's kind of when it started to turn though, because you got yourself around people that thought differently.
Yeah.
There's a lot to that too, just being around people who think differently than just the bare minimum sometimes.
Yeah.
Um,
You
that's
are
just my 2 cents. I believe I agree with you getting educated, but I don't think, like, we go to school and we go get, every other trade goes and has trainings and continued education and those things to help you become better. I'm not saying it's required to be a flooring contractor or a flooring installer. I'm just saying it can help. A 2-year guy kind of has an idea of what he's doing. If he goes and gets a few trainings and certifications under his belt and then goes out and applies more experience to that, it just seems to me, and through our experience with working with hundreds and hundreds of installers, that's a pretty good recipe. Not required, not like 100%. I'm not saying every certified guy is better than every uncertified guy. That's not true. I'm just, in general, if we took a population versus population, our experience going nationwide, doing flooring projects all over, when we've dealt with certified guys, especially sight unseen, like not knowing them, we just had a better experience.
It's a different thought process. And like you said, that curve, right? Like that tipping point is the old saying, you're a product of your environment. So if you surround yourself by or with people who are like-minded, it starts to resonate a little bit more. Through networking and certifications, it did open up other doors for us as a company, as individuals, and I'm very grateful for that. But had we never stepped outside of our comfort zone and thought outside of the box, that was kind of I want to say was built by what everyone around us was already saying and what they believed in, we might not be having this conversation today. So yeah. It's just one of those things, like there's a lot more out there. Put yourself in a position to learn from somebody else who is certified, who is factory trained, who has been around. Don't discount the information that they have because you feel like you know everything. It could put you in a position for much better and much faster success.
Yeah, be a learner. Well, I'm going to close this thing out. Thanks for joining us in episode 4 here. And, to your guys' continued success, everybody on the webinar here, and Jose and Preferred Flooring, much success to you guys, and we'll see you next week.